Hi there, and welcome to this week's episode of Talking with Jonny. I'm Jonny. I'm not in my backyard. I'm actually in Monterey, California, right next to the aquarium where we just had dinner. We literally dined inside the Monterey Aquarium because I'm on the Velocity Tour. So you might have heard of Velocity Invitational. They're branching out into the world of rallies, and they not only invited me along, but somehow the Southern California-based hypercar company Czinger is having me drive their 2.5, 6, 7, whatever million dollar, 1,250 horsepower, 3D printed carbon fiber hypercar for 2 days around California, and it is well, we're shooting a video. It's going to be great. Yeah, and it's just yes, it's a strange thing to do with a out and out hypercar that owns the track record at every racetrack they bother to take it to, because it really is just from another planet. But we're trying to see what's it like to actually live in the thing. So I started this morning. We were in Paso Robles and we took back roads all the way to Laguna Seca. The car went around Laguna Seca, and then we drove to Monterey. And there'll be a full video covering all that pretty soon. And I'm driving it and been having a good time. I'm not going to review it on Talking with Jonny today, but it will be a future episode of Driving with Jonny. So yeah, that should be fun. But it's late at night. I might have had a champagne at dinner, but I've been pounding the diet soda, which I'm going to do now because I am just a thirsty guy. Sitting in that their hypercar. And one thing I can tell you that's kind of cool, because you haven't seen the Czinger VMax. So they make the Czinger 21C, which is a huge downforce track weapon type vehicle. Then they make the VMax, which is like a no-wing long tail version that has a top speed of like 250 or 60 or who cares miles per hour. It's not a single seater, but it's a center seater, and then there's a seat behind you, so it's tandem seating, like a two-person bicycle almost. And today I had to have a dude behind me the whole time. Evan Jacobs, sup Evan, Trek Jews as we're now calling ourselves. And he's 6'1", and he somehow fits back there. I got in the back for just a split second. If you have large calves and or large feet, it doesn't work so well. But if you have skinny legs and either medium feet with normal shoes, or I guess maybe big feet with small shoes, it could work. It could work. But anyways, this dude for hours was sitting behind me in this thing on some crazy bumpy roads. And yeah, it mostly works. So anyways, more on that later. But we had a really fun day. You might have noticed there was no Driving with Jonny video last week. And my dog ate my homework excuse is that Rylick, who's my partner on this channel, my camera guy and editor, his grandmother's quite ill, and he had to go visit her, and he just couldn't get it done. And he apologizes. I apologize. He's back in action. He's following the Czinger in my GR Corolla, which has been really cool to see in the side mirrors of the Czinger. And he got to drive for the first time in his life on Laguna Seca today. And he told me it was the best day of his life. Make of it what you will. True car person, that Rylick. And yeah, we're having a ball. And then tomorrow I think we're going to Bruce Canepa's shop, which is always fun. Canepa. And then I think we wind up in Sonoma. So it's it's a rally through the heart of California. Wine country, good roads, super fun, good people, good dinners. And thanks Velocity, Jonathan and Adam and Ryan, thank you so much. And Jeff, of course, so much for having us. It's been super, super fun. That said, what else is going on? Oh, dude, the Vegas Concours. Oh my God, the Las Vegas Concours. Friends, it's fun to watch things evolve. And I went to the Vegas Concours last year. It was fine. It was like a little provincial show, maybe a wannabe Amelia Island, for lack of a better term. They have stepped it so far up that the two things I kept hearing the most were, how on earth could they top this next year? How are they going to top themselves? but also why go to the Quail? Like, what's the point of the Quail if this exists? And remember, a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Quail is like $1,200, and if you don't get your ticket right away, you're paying like $1,800 or $2,400 or more. I once was involved in a deal for 2 Quail tickets for $5,000. I won't tell you who, but I was like, what? But anyways, this is a fraction of the price. I think it's $100. I should one day maybe find out. And the cars were insane. I mean, the centerpiece was, of course, they had a McLaren F1 there right when you walked in, which is pretty good. But they had 48 Bugatti Veyrons, which that's insane. They made 450 Veyrons. There were 48 of them there, so that's more than 10%. Even more impressive, though, they only sent 100 Veyrons to the United States, so that's almost half of the U.S. run of Veyrons. And then Bugatti brought a ninth. Bugatti brought a 49th Veyron, so it's 49 Veyrons. And then there was, I think, more Paganis. I didn't count them all, but there just seemed to be a Pagani everywhere you looked. 7 Koenigseggs. The Nilu was there, painted red. HWA Evo was there. They had a Gumpert Apollo. Then they had the Lamborghini section, and I got to tell you, that was mind-blowing. And I'm skipping over all the actual Concours cars that were judged and won awards and all that. I'm just saying, like, the add-ons they did for Flava. That was just incredible. You walk into this Lamborghini, you go through a little gate, and they're I don't know, 2 gate posts or whatever you call them. There's 2 Centenarios, a Roadster and a Coupe. They had a Revington. They had Sesta Elemento sitting out. They had a Veneno, one of the 3 Veninos. Countachs and Diablos and Murcielagos and everything. LMO02s, 2 LMO02s. And it was just wild. It was just absolutely wild. And just all kinds of good stuff. And it was a really fun time. And you're in Las Vegas, so the food's good. You can go out and do stuff. The bars are great. It's just like it now. Sadly, it's another you must attend. So my calendar is just going to be completely full forever, which is probably the way to live your life. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. It's late. I've had a day. We're going to get to your comments. And there's quite a bit of them. Quite a bit. There's quite many. Quite a few. I'm losing my ability to think and speak. Okay. Easy Rice says, I really appreciate that you take the time to answer viewer questions and share your deep knowledge of the auto industry. Yeah, it ain't that deep. Other car podcasts like The Smoking Tire, Sparks Car Radio, and Cars and Bids create a controversial Friends Talking Cars. Now, I'm on 2 of those. One of those as an actual cast member, and the other I'm on all the time. And if I'd ever bother to go to San Diego, I could be on Doug's too. So I haven't read the rest of the question, but just caveating what he's about to say. Friends Talking Car Vibes by having multiple hosts. I think adding a co-host could bring a similar dynamic to your show and make it even more engaging for viewers. Though I realize it would add some logistical complexity. Yes, this will happen. I have a person in mind. Sadly, they have a crazier schedule than I do. That's the hard part. Hats off to Farah for basically having the job I have, and another full-time job, and still putting out a podcast. Spike and Zuckerman don't really go anywhere, so. And as far as I know, DeMuro only leaves San Diego to go to Martha's Vineyard. But it's hard when you're on the road. So yeah, I have an idea for where Talking with Jonny could go. And yeah, it's going to need some investment and stuff like that on my part. But I'm having fun doing it, and I really like doing it. But thank you very much. I don't know if we need to be controversial. I don't think you need controversy. I just think create the podcast you want to listen to. Write the article you want to read. Make the video you want to watch. I think that's the best advice there is. Okay, moving on. G Whizbang says, 1 man and a stream of consciousness and some coughing. Okay. Schmoopy Boopy. Guys, thank you, Jonny, for another great episode. You're welcome. I'm going quick here. The great Paul Smith says, your interaction with fans is appreciated. Oh, these guys are being really nice. Once again, very informative episode. Okay, looking forward to the Carrera GT video. Not as much as I am. Thanks, Jonny. That's from Equad. Futface says, yo, extra Luso. The new Scout electric SUV from the Volkswagen Motor Group. That's got Rivian written all over it, doesn't it? I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume it's probably running some Rivian technology, right? Well, you're not going out on a limb. Yeah, I mean, the Volkswagen Group paid Rivian $5 billion for their zonal architecture and the software that controls it. So this is not the screen that you touch. It's the motor controls and the battery control and all that. That's the zonal architecture. Yeah, it's for the Rivian Gen 2 trucks and SUVs. It's very advanced. It has 4 quadrants, 7 very powerful processors, and it's worth $5 billion to the Volkswagen Group. Scout is owned by the Volkswagen Group. They're using off-the-shelf Volkswagen parts, a lot of them. They'll have some custom Scout parts, and I imagine they'll use the zonal architecture. As for having Rivian written all over it, yeah, there is a similarity to the electric SUVs. Less so the SUV, but the pickup truck. Although the Scout pickup truck is huge. It's like the size of an F-150, but yeah, I see it. Okay. Goo says, Johnny, have you participated in any rally trips? Any you'd like to attend? I'm on the Velocity Tour. I've done a bunch of rallies. Too many to list. The Mille Mia. I did the Mille Mia. I'd like to do that every minute of every day. That's the greatest event there is. I think the Colorado Grand, I hear so many good things about it, and I've known about it for a long time, and I've had some invites. Especially now that I'm a freelancer, you got to think about like, well, how do I monetize that? If I do the Colorado Grand, who's going to pay me to write about it? Or can I make a video? Do my videos make money? All that sort of thing. So I'd like to do it. It's sort of not sad, but it's just the world we're in where I have to think about like, how do I make money off something? And I hate that too. I liked, when I was I don't know, a full-timer at Motor Trend, and I could just do crazy things and not worry about where my next paycheck was coming from. That's no longer the case, and that's fine. It's just the reality. So yeah, there's a bunch. I mean, and again, Velocity Tour, they're going to do it next year. It's quite fun. Okay, 515, this is Piggly Wiggly. All that torque is diesel truck territory insanity. I don't know what it's referencing at 515. Hopefully I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay, moving on. Normally the newer version, same guy, Piggly Wiggly Deluxe, a newer version of an iconic car is cheaper than the original. Ford GT, Mercedes Gullwing, etc. However, it seems like the opposite is true with Vipers. Old Vipers are cheap, but 5th gen are expensive, especially ACR Vipers. I wonder why. I do not wonder why. I know the answer, Piggly Wiggly. The 1st gen cars, while cool, aren't very good, and the 5th gen Viper is awesome, especially the ACR. In fact, I was just telling the story of my wonderful friend Bruce. Hello, Bruce. And I was at Laguna Seca on a track day, and he said, hey, why don't you drive my AMG SLS Black Series? It was awesome. And so I was doing 10 laps of that, and Bruce was in a Viper ACR on slicks. I'm going to point this out. But I saw him, let's see, I was entering turn 3, and I, out of the corner of my left eye, I saw him coming down 1 into 2, and he had caught and passed me by, I think, 5. And like that Viper just moves. I always said it's like a perfect Mazda Miata, playful and easy to drive with 650 horsepower from a big V10. It's just just an awesome car. I love a Viper ACR. We're having this conversation a couple hours ago. Today, I was having a cigar in Riley's room, and yeah, it was great. Okay. Let's see, this is from Corkins. Greetings and thanks for doing all you do. Much appreciated. My question has to do with aftermarket tunes in general. A good thing? Not worth the effort? Any considerations before I plunk down my card? Well, it depends what you're tuning. I tend to tune my little stuff. So like I had a number of WRXs. The number was 2, but I had 2 WRXs. I tuned the hell out of the first one. Second one I actually left stock because I did such a bad job on the first one. But I matured. By the time I bought a Ford Fiesta ST, I knew enough that like a Cobb Stage 1 was fine. When I was a younger man, it was like, Stage 1, you need Stage 4, bro. And you don't. You need, for a street car, you really need Stage 1. And then my GR Corolla, I've done quite a bit of modifications on it, and I like it how it is. Probably going to ruin it by doing more mods, but yeah, I think tuning can be great. It can also absolutely make a car undrivable. Being a moron and adding a 3-piece racing clutch to a WRX station wagon, a 2002 first gen, is not only stupid but ruined the car, among other things I did to it. So there's that. Okay, Jay Coolup, dang, that sponsor sounds shady. But hey, I had people at work sign and resign on the same day. LOL. Yeah, I experienced that as well. That's a fun one. My question for this week is, what's the best pizza and what's the best burger? Ooh, globally, it'll be tough to say, but I think we can answer that. In LA, it's pretty easy. And actually, LA is the world. So, Pizzeria Say in Los Angeles is the best pizza. If you haven't had it, I apologize, but it is the best pizza in the world. Okay, I shouldn't say that. I've had some pizza in Italy that rivals it, but this guy basically, it's like Tokyo-style pizza, which means that, you know, in Tokyo they research what makes good Italian pizza, and they just like copied it and then perfected it. And then this guy, American guy, went to Tokyo for like 10 years. He had a fine dining background, came back, opened up Pizzeria Sei, S-E-I. It's in Los Angeles, and it's the best pizza. Best burger. Ooh, can of worms. I hate saying it because he's my friend, but Sang Yoon, who owns Father's Office, also in Los Angeles, the Father's Office burger is like just hard to argue against. It's so good. Just trying to think of like other classic burgers I've had a bunch of. There's a place in Pasadena, Pie and Burger, that is terrific. Just a great, honest burger. Then, of course, In-N-Out kicks the shit out of Whataburger and whatever the nonsense you people from other places mention. So there's that. Okay. Velocity 5629. If there was a Mount Rushmore for car models, which 4 should be on it with consideration of global impact on industry, culture, and design? Ooh. Well, you got to put the 911 up there. Yeah, it's just 911 has to be there. That's a model. Yeah, you got to put like an American pickup truck, I want to say, and like part of me wants to say like a Chevy Suburban / Chevy Silverado. Ford sort of in some way outsells them, but I think because of the Suburban, you know, interestingly, the Suburban is the longest running nameplate in cardom. 1933 was the first Suburban, and you know, we had to take not waste the metal on badges during World War II for some reason, but they were still being made for the Army. Boy, but I don't know. That's a tough question. That might require a little bit more thought. You could say Corvette, but maybe Mustang actually has more appeal than a Corvette, but maybe not. That's a tough one. You know, would you put a Gullwing up there? Like, how much influence has it had? Global impact on industry. I mean, I guess you'd put like an aero car, like a Beetle, Volkswagen Beetle. So you'd have a 911 and a Beetle. That's kind of the same car. Not really, I know, but both rear engine. Very interesting question. Tell you what, let me think about it, and we'll get back to you next week, or write a column about it and steal your idea and monetize it for myself. All right. Stollyberg. Any takeaways from the recent Rivian R2 launch event? I don't think there was an R2 launch event. Are you excited for R2? No. Seems like R3 stole the show. Yes, R3 stole the show. 100%. I'm excited for R3. R2 is going to be cool. Look, it's a much smaller vehicle. It's not going to have the wackadoodle suspension that the R1 has. I am excited for it. I'm excited whenever Rivian does anything because they, so far in my experience, make great products. I would enjoy seeing you film some content at the Rivian plant in Normal. Me too. I should do that. Okay. Pro Wagon Performance. I will be the 15th comment, just so this is better than the last Talking with Jonny. Yeah, the last Talking with Jonny only had 14 comments. It got buried. The algorithm hates me, but this one has like 30-some comments. So, it's good enough for a video not a lot of people are watching, but it's going to grow. You'll see. Okay, from Stephen Martigiani. apparently the 2025 Kia EV6 GT with new updated i5N drivetrain and faux gears halted sales in the U.S. due to tariffs. But a few have actually made it to dealer lots, possibly less than 100. Do you think in the future a super rare EV model like this could be considered a collector's car? Yes. Also wondering if the 2026 i5N and i6N might be canceled for the US too. Don't know about the Ioniq 5N. I know 100% that the Ioniq 6N is happening because me and Riley are going to go look at one in next week. In fact, a week from tomorrow, we're going to go do that. So that's happening. Look, there's that thing. Will you ever see EVs on the lawn at Pebble Beach? Like, of course you will. There already are EVs on the lawn at Pebble Beach. They're just from 1904. But yeah, of course, 100%. And yeah, something like that. If 100 EV6 GTs sneak in, yeah, they'll be very collectible. All right. T-Dub25. Remember when this guy thought we'd all be driving electric cars in 2025? No, I never said that. I said about 2035. I think it went something like, it's inevitable. It is inevitable. It's just slowing down a little bit. Johnny is the Mary Barra of car reviewers. Well, Mary Barra. So let's see, GM stock price. Okay, let's look at like the 5-year. Yeah, it hasn't done too much. It's up. It's at 52-week high of 70, and 5 years ago it was at 37. She's been there at least that long. I don't know if the stock split or anything, but GM's doing great. I don't know, I don't know what you are. Anyhow, yeah, look, EVs make more sense for more people most of the time. Again, I've said this 1,000 times, but if you go find some car magazines from 2024, or sorry, 2004, Car and Driver in particular, the editor's letter would be from Chebacheta, and he would say, the Prius is lousy for some reason, and then it's more polluting than a Hummer. And then you flip over, and there's like the Brock Yates column, and Brock's like, the hybrids are a commie plot to take away your freedom and ruin the world and your life and all that. And then you get to like a Pat Bedard column, and he would say like, here's a mathematical proof. I can't talk. Here's mathematical proof that a Prius is worse than Satan, and he'd have all the equations for you, and actually it gets worse mileage than your Ford Super Duty and blah, 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 blah. Well, fast forward, you look at the current cover of Car and Driver, and it's a Czinger. And a Czinger has 2 batteries, and it's a 500 horsepower EV if you turn off the gas engine. So it's a big super hybrid. So they were totally wrong. You're all totally wrong. It is inevitable for most of the people most of the time. Again, if you are sad that your RAV4 might go electric, you got your head on wrong, and you'll look back in 20 years and be like, whoa, that weird bearded dude on the internet was right. All right. Carl, okay, here we go. Mr. Chips. Hello, Johnny. I always wanted to, always great to watch these segments. I'll make a point of subbing to the new talk channel when it happens. It's happening, just got to wrap my heads around it. My question is for this week is about Mazda. Ooh, what's the deal with all these concept cars that endlessly tease cool new vehicles but don't ever come to fruition? They have no money. They have no market share. I get that concepts have other purposes like previewing new design language and getting people to talk about their brand, I guess as we are here. But still it feels like their limited resources are not helping much here. Yeah, I mean, that's all it is. The other thing is, like, there's just not a market, even though everyone on the internet says there just isn't a market for inexpensive sport cars. They don't sell well. They gobble up a lot of engineering expertise and resources. Even Mazda, the sporty Zoom Zoom brand, they really need to be selling SUVs. That's where the money is. They're just not going to sell a lot of sports cars. So yeah, it's a damn shame. I still remember that Mazda, I can't remember what it's called, but that insane long hood, big dash to axle, beautiful red car from, I don't know, 6-7 years ago that was supposed to be the new RX-7. Like, that was, oh God, why didn't they build that? But yeah, Mazda's tough. Mazda has like less than 1% or 1% of the US market, and that's just a bad way to be. So that's the problem. Flying by cars you really wanted and bought, but now regret for whatever reason. Really only, well, one. Sorry, I've been talking all day. I'm just incredibly parched. My Alfa Romeo. I had an Alfa Romeo Giulia. I think it was a Giulia S rear drive with the limited slip diff, and it was a good car to when I was a car journalist and compare it against the Mercedes. And you take them out and you drive real fast. It was really sporty, really good chassis. Wasn't the Quadrifoglio. Could have afforded the Quadrifoglio. Just chose not to buy it because I was like, oh, this one's just so sporty. I don't need more horsepower. What an idiot, a stupid moron thing to think. And I went against my own, I know better than that. And it was just like a dull car day to day. Unless you really put it in sport mode and pushed it, it was just a dull driving experience. It was a dull engine. It was like a 5,000 or 5,500 RPM engine, so it made a lot of torque, didn't have a lot of character. Should have bought the Quadrifoglio. That's the only one. Perfectly fine car. I think I put, 27,000 miles on it. Only thing that went bad was the battery. And it was a great car, reliability wise. Like, it was just wonderful. Everything was holding up. And the battery was like this, during COVID they ran out of batteries, so they got a shipment of batteries from Turkey, and they all went bad. So I don't blame Alfa for that. COVID was weird. It was a great car. Except for I didn't like it that much. So it's gone. Okay. Oh boy. Ejecto Steve Okuz says, with a budget of around 10K, less is great. What would be a fun sports car? Preferably a rear-wheel drive convertible, but open to a coupe. For Colorado mountain roads, would a third car to go with two dailies? Have been looking at Z3s. Oh, dude, Z3. Answered your own question. And first gen boxers. Bing! A Miata is an option, but thinking I want a little more power. Bing, bing! Especially at altitude in Colorado. Loving the channel. Keep it up. Dude, a Z3. I love a Boxster, and a Boxster is arguably going to be a sportier car, maybe better on a track. But like a good Z3 on a good mountain road is a hard car to beat. I like the Z3. Go Z3. All right. Could the Mustang GTD exist? This is from Kitten Snipe. Could the Mustang GTD exist if its contemporaries hadn't died? Since the Camaro and Challenger are gone, Mustang has a monopoly on the V8 two-door American sports muscle car. It sort of had a monopoly even when the other two existed. Hey-o! Ford is in a unique position where it doesn't have a ZL1 or Hellcat to compete with. If the Camaro and Challenger still existed, do you think GM and Dodge could have created a GTD competitor? Or would Ford have stopped at GT500 level and not the full $400,000 max effort GTD? Interesting question. I think it would have absolutely existed if Camaro and Challenger were still around the way they were competing. I think Ford and Jim Farley, look, he does a lot of racing. He knows that dudes who like to race and have money would buy essentially a GT3 car for the street. I think he would have created it anyways. I think that's just like, I don't think the death of Camaro and Challenger had anything to do with the GTD. That's just what I think. I have no idea if that's true or not, but I can't imagine they had any influence. Now, should GM be making a Camaro that could compete with a GTD? Like, oh God, that'd be cool. Like a, Trans Am, IROC, hell yeah. And I'd love to see Chrysler, Stellantis, whatever. Hellcats were great. Vipers were great. But I'd love to see something like that combines the two, where you have mass power and great handling. And they still have those same engineers there. SRT team is there. They're kind of spinning their thumbs, twiddling their thumbs, spinning their wheels. It'd be great if other companies would compete with GTD. We're still waiting on General Motors to do a Jeep competitor. So, all right. Caffeine cars. You've been on many press trips. Pick the best car that you've tested and then the best location road that you have visited. Where would you be and what would you be driving? Wishing you all the best with the channel. I've been on many press trips. Pick the best car. Well, the best car I ever drove was two. It was the F80 and the Bugatti Mistral. I wish both were on better roads. So, best location road. I mean, I've been on press trips to the Nürburgring. That's pretty hard to beat. Jethro and I, it wasn't on a press trip, but we found this road near Andorra in the Pyrenees in Spain that was just like heaven. And then one time I was with Camisa and we were in the Panamera GTS like around 2011, something like that. And the road out to Ascari, and I've been back since, and I think either we took different roads or it got worse or I don't know what, but like, God damn, that was a good road. I was also shooting Bentley up in Scotland, and we were at Loch Ness, and we went south, and that was a hell of a road. Oh, God, I wish I knew what that road was called. I could probably figure it out, but oh man, that was a good road. I was with Audi press trip. It was the R8 V10 refresh when it got a dual clutch transmission, and we went through some valley in Austria, and the hills were alive, my friends. What an epic road. Yeah, that's the best road. That's the best road. The one in Austria. Okay, hey Johnny, what are your thoughts on used Taycans? I see them around mid-40s with 40,000 miles. Never had an EV. It was my first for a 25-mile daily commute in Florida. I have home with a garage to charge. Bingo. Yeah, brilliant. Problem with the first generation Taycan, the ones that are going to have 40,000 miles on them, is that they had a small range. They updated it this year, last year, whatever. Now it's fixed, but they had a very, very small range and a really crappy backup camera, which they still have. But if you really are doing a 25-mile commute, and even if that's round trip, 50 miles, you're fine. You're totally fine. If you want to drive to Atlanta from Miami, it's tough because they just don't have great range. But yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it. You know, it's weird to have a Taycan in Florida because the roads are all straight, but you know, it's very quick and they're very nice. And yeah, you'd absolutely love it. Doug DeMuro, so Piggly Wiggly wants to know something. I don't, sorry, I'm not going to figure out what that is. Yick George says, Nick George, where was my college roommate? I had a college roommate named Nick George, freshman year. Commenting again to say, you need to split up the channel. I agree. I think that other YouTubers have dedicated podcast versus video channel. They do. I think your wide array of content works against the YouTube algorithm. I think everything I do, especially being a fat old guy, works against the YouTube algorithm. And but yes, you're right. I agree. What's Johnny saying? Shirley. Oh man, these guys. Oh, it just goes on and gets worse. Okay. Day 42 of asking Johnny to shout out my little brother's car app, Car Shows. He's 14 and a big fan. Come on, man. Like, you got to do that? All right. What camera do you use? This is an iPhone 16 Pro. I'm going to get a 17, I promise. Okay. Getting to the end here. D-Rock says, want to know your opinion. I feel that adaptive cruise control is largely a negative to traffic flow. Preposterous. From my observations, on a 3-lane highway, people mostly move to the middle lane, engage the adaptive cruise control, and basically go to sleep. That's a very anecdotal view, but okay. If you're getting passed on your left and right, you are driving moron. Okay, but if it's adaptive cruise control, you just set it for like follow the car in front of me speed, and it goes that fast. So I don't like if they're setting it artificially low. But why have adaptive? Anyways, I'm not sure I agree with the premise of this question, but I prefer non-adaptive control. Set the speed you desire to drive and make your lane changes accordingly. I know that under heavy traffic conditions, this will never apply, but here where I live with fairly light highway traffic, especially on weekends, I regularly see people get on the highway, get into the middle lane, and set the adaptive cruise control and just zone out. Are you sure? I don't know. Okay. I feel the middle lane morons are making driving far more dangerous than speeders. Well, lots of people make driving more dangerous than speeders. Again, if you're an alert person and your car's in good mechanical order, speeding, it's a cop out. We want safety, so speeding's always bad, and it's not always bad. And the other thing is look, in LA, the speed limits are 65. Every single human being drives at 85. And, it's just what's the point of the law? If you have a law that everybody breaks, it's not a law. It's just I don't know what it is. So, yeah, I agree. If they're going slower than they should be going, they're bad. But again, with adaptive, I can get on, set the cruise at 90, and then it just pulls up to the car in front of me and hangs there until they speed up or get out of the way, and then it keeps going. So, seems good to me. Okay. My only comment about stagnation would be to have a transcript of your shows typed up and read it. I'm not talking about a scripted podcast, just means to self-critique your work. Your written work is substantially different than the podcast. Sure, look, humans, we have 3 different languages, right? We have the language we think in, we have the language we communicate in, and we have a much larger vocabulary for the language we write in. Our thoughts tend to be smaller than the words we speak, tend to be. But hey, look, the average American, I think, only uses 1,200 different words per day. So I think I'm doing all right. But yeah, I'm not going to do that. But what I would like to start doing is writing out an outline, just make sure there's points I don't forget. I know I should do that. I'm not only very busy, but very lazy. It's a deadly combination. Okay, moving from the burbs to an island. Volkswagen GTI manual or something electric car like an Ioniq 5. My commute is bike friendly and bike accessible, but I would also like a hatchback that I can have fun with here and there, in addition to its practicality. Yeah, can't go wrong either way. Motor Trend, we just gave Car of the Year for 2026 to the Volkswagen GTI, so the new one's great. I was not a fan of the pre-refresh Mark 8. Excuse me, if you can get a Mark 7, Mark 7.5. Literally fantastic cars, and then a Golf R is great, especially a used Mark 7, although we also gave it, I think, to the Golf R, updated one. And then, yeah, an Ioniq 5 is totally sweet. Used Model Y is a great car, great value. So yeah, you can't go wrong either way. It's, do you want a little gas car? Do you want a little electric car? Take your pick. It's up to you. Okay, any more updates on the weight loss journey? And how did your Packers fandom start? I got real fat again. Now I'm trying to lose the weight, so I'm eating slightly better and drinking a lot more diet soda. Packers fandom. Yeah, it's funny. I actually grew up a Cowboys fan. Sit tight. So I grew up in Thousand Oaks, California, and California Lutheran College, which is now CLU, California Lutheran University, was literally behind my house. I would walk up this hill we called Cactus Hill, cut across, and I'd be at the practice fields. And the Dallas Cowboys would have their summer training there. Tom Landry was the coach, and there was Herschel Walker, and there was Danny White, and there was Too Tall Jones, and I would carry helmets with a lot of the other kids in the neighborhood. We'd bring the players water. We'd all take a knee at the end. Tom Landry would listen to him talk. It was unbelievable. It was I didn't realize how abnormally cool that was until I was older. And then when I started really, really getting into football, it was just something to do. The neighborhood's kid did. I didn't really have the attention span until I went through puberty to sit down and watch a football game. When I started really getting into football was kind of my freshman year of high school, and the Cowboys, Jimmy Johnson took over. And he had one summer camp there. It was the season they went 1-15. Troy Aikman was a rookie. I actually, with the Water Boys and the rookies would play ball together sometimes. So I actually played center, and I snapped the ball to Aikman a few times when he was a rookie, which was really fun. I don't remember anything else about him. He was very tall and blonde. Everyone seemed very tall back then. But anyhow, Jimmy Johnson determined that Thousand Oaks was not hot enough, so he moved summer practice back to Texas, and we felt very betrayed. So here's how I feel about the Cowboys now. And then I was kind of a Rams fan a little bit, and they left. Anyways, when I got to, I always thought I'd be a running back, and then when I got to high school, I was big. And we had a great running back who was not me, and so they made me a lineman. I didn't know anything really about linemen, but there was this guy, oh man, Tony Mandrich. It's funny how these weird people have effects on your life, but Tony Mandrich was I'll never forget. He was a very high draft pick, and he was a great college prospect, and he turned out to be a total steroid freak. But he was like 6'6", 315 pounds, solid muscle, cover of Sports Illustrated. I'll never forget the cover. It said "The Incredible Bulk." It had him like pushing a shopping cart full of food or something. Pardon me, talking all day. And he got drafted by the Green Bay Packers. And I'm kind of conflating timelines here, but so I was like, oh, cool. This only lineman I knew and cared about was suddenly a Packer. But then he started, he wasn't very good. But that year they had this quarterback, Don Majkowski, the Magic Man, and he was just super exciting. I found him to be the most exciting quarterback. And the Rams had left. I was never really a Raiders fan, F you Cowboys. So I was like, fine, I'll root for Green Bay. And then Majkowski was great. He got injured. This kid Favre showed up, and he was fun. And the rest is history. And now I really love the Packers. I bleed green and gold and all that. Funny side note, and then I'll let you go. That draft, the year that I was a freshman in high school, the first player drafted was Troy Aikman, and the third player drafted was Barry Sanders. Green Bay, of course, selected Tony Mandrich second overall. Now, Tony Mandrich, he fizzed out, and whatever the word is, I'm very tired. Flamed out, and wound up actually, I think, playing in Canada a little bit. He was from Michigan State, close enough to Canada. But he came back and he played for the Colts and he won a Super Bowl, blocking for Peyton Manning. So kind of a happy ending for him, really happy ending for me. I got to become a Packers fan. But imagine if the Packers had gotten Barry Sanders. Just imagine that. Anyhow, one more comment, and it's from Aliens Gonna Get Ya, and he says all EVs, and he spelled EV wrong, are total shitboxes. You're right, all of them. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Talking with Jonny. I am Jonny. The channel is Driving with Jonny. Like the video, share the videos, subscribe to the channel. We crossed 11,000 subscribers, which feels pretty good. Leave a comment if you have a question. If there's something you want me to talk about, ask it. I will answer it, and we'll catch you next week with another brand new episode of Talking with Jonny.